it to be changed.
The story is real tight and terrific and entertaining. How about you?
Well, that's what I'm hoping for.
You don't want them to come in and go, oh, you know what? We don't like that idea of the one guy looking like the other guy. Let's get rid of the basis of the movie. This would be a good time for them to tell us. It's going to be great. I am a little nervous. Why? Well, all the nudity, the gunplay. It's new for Disney. Michael Eisner and the people you're like about now. Oh, yeah.
Well, waiting. Oh, this is easy. I do this every day. Well, every week.
Every week?
Every week somebody has to pull their pants down in front of everybody else. And one director described this, Rob Minkoff, who worked with Roger on Lion King, said screening the movies like this is having someone chop your hands off and pull your pants down in front of a crowd. And you stand there with stumps bleeding, incapable of pulling your pants back up. And that was the experience of screening one of these movies.
The creator, Viracocha, wanted the world to have light. So he threw a rope to a distant star. This star was Inti, the sun. Inti battled Supai.
For me, so much of the movie isn't working. I just don't know who I'm supposed to care about, what I'm watching. The pace seems really wacky, like just so leaden, and I'm not having much fun.
And we have not found a movie yet. And I think, story-wise, for me, we're between two stools. We're neither a comedy, we're not a drama, we're not a this, we're not a that.
That being said, I'm relieved at this moment to be able to say the two things I really enjoyed in the movie were the love song and the llama song. Now, that's particularly convenient given our entire team that's here.
It's a good thing.
Well, I have to say, I enjoyed the movie far more than I thought I would.
Shut up.
I did. I enjoyed it.
Well, it's kind of like being rolled over with a steamroller, and then you get up sort of paper thin and try to blow yourself back out into proportion where you can work again. It's kind of par for the course a little bit on these pictures, but it's always hard to, see the sandcastle be knocked down and start thinking about how to make it better. But that's basically, what's good about the process is we go through these things, and and it's a distillation process. So the weak stuff gets weeded out, and you just have to keep strengthening the foundation of your story and all that.
And you hope against all hope every time you go in the process of making these that you will avoid this step, whether it be Lion King or Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin. Oh my God, this is a disaster, we've got to start again. It's a complete failure. And you have this naive belief that that won't ever happen. And I think when you look at this, it is really the part of the process. You have to go through the moment of failure of, oh my God, it doesn't work, to actually find out what does work.
The process can be such agony because you want to get to the truth and you want to get to the place on the movie, you want to talk about it. At the same time, you have to be very careful about what you say so that you don't make everyone want to kill themselves. It's an interesting dynamic because on one hand, you have to, make it clear that it's not working and you're not happy with the sections that need to get redone. But they're created out of people's souls. So therefore you can't pour water on that.
Well, I felt for Roger. I thought, he's put his heart and soul into this thing for 3 years, and suddenly demolished in the space of 10 minutes by a very entertaining deconstructionist who runs the place. But he has to come back next day and pick himself up and start again. But they seem to be used to that process, And I've got used to that process over the past year. So what happens now?
Well,
give me a break. But what Manka was going for was not devout. What he was looking for was a knockout, which that Nina certainly is. This time I'm putting my foot down.
Well, I thought I was going to be able to finish within a couple of days. Finish my contribution to this film, which is why I came here. But now that it's all up in the air with plot and story and characterization and structure, then it looks like I'm here for a while yet. But I feel galvanized, actually, to put more into it, to be more creative, you know. Why can't a human have a Somebody was talking about this little character, the Huaca, you know, and they were saying, well, what's he about? Someone said, oh, who it was? Someone said, oh, it's like, why can't the human be more like a rock? Which reminded me of a song from My Fair Lady called Why Can't the Woman Be More Like a Man, which is sung by Rex Harrison. So I thought, wait a minute. Why can't a human be more like a rock? Dependable, unshakable, and stoic. The cornerstone of empire, stability and trust. Ever patient, ever vigilant, and essentially heroic. But the human's always chasing after figment and illusion. Always anxious, always searching, willing, victim of illusion. If he ever finds his happiness, he'll probably die of shock. Oh, why can't a human be more like a rock?
The frustrating thing about this movie is there are so many great elements. If I sat down and described it to you and said, oh, we have this movie set in Peru, and by the way, Sting's doing the music, and there's Eartha Kitt, and by the way, David Spade's in it too, you'd be going, oh my God, where do I go? How can I pay my money and go see this movie? And so it's incredibly frustrating when we look at it and say, why aren't the pieces coming together? Where's my movie? And that's where you really have to just stop and say, okay, let's take those elements, shuffle them up, reassemble them, and try to come up with something that is engaging. So all of that promise of Sting and David Spade and Roger and Mark and Randy and the animators, that promise lives up to itself and in fact excels what the audience expects.
These are all direct?
One of the things that we did, and it's common here at Disney, is that we had a sort of a brain trust meeting, and we got directors from all the other shows and some really good smart story people that can look at something and just give you a fresh eye.
I always missed the little Huaca. You know, if you could turn Manco into a little, you know, like a little stone guy. That, I mean, that's
really
your guy
effective.
now. I mean, this.
I do think that you want a little more magic or something. Just there's something very bizarre about it.
I mean, I think this story's controversial.
Something worse should happen there.
I think it's all it's all the other direction.
He just needs to
version,
change
I think
inside.
he changes.
It's a little Lion King.
That's a classic
So
story.
shit's really gonna hit the fan now. Well, it's something you don't learn till the end. It's like Dorothy and the Rubik's Cube.
So he wouldn't. Didn't that always make you want to slug the good fairy? You have those stupid.
The comedy.
Unless you had.
Well, they're upstairs in this meeting right now, and it's going to determine the fate of our whole project, right? And I hear they're pitching 4 different outlines.
Cool.
4.
The rumors are flying like crazy.
It's an expensive proposition, too, because some of the rumors I've heard are all the voice castings changing.
Oh my God, I think my character might not be in the movie anymore.
So I heard one of them doesn't even take place in Peru. It could be in Jamaica or something, I don't know. You gotta add, you know.
Different movie altogether.
Right. You're gonna have to add dreadlocks to Pacha. So, I don't know.
I heard it rumored that Sting couldn't renew his contract because he was too busy doing his album, that Randy had been fired, that Mark had been fired, that Roger had been fired, that Manco was going to be the main character of the movie, that Pacha was out of the movie, that they changed the setting of the movie from Peru to Nebraska and they were all going to be sheep instead of llamas.
There is an air of excitement, you know, amidst the terror of all this.
I guess toughest for Roger, really.
Well, yeah, because Roger sometimes, you know, he'll be in love with a sequence, and when the upheaval happens, it's the killing your darlings thing. He might be so in love with something, and it really hurts to lose it.
We just have to wait for the word to come down where the story's headed. I hear that Isma's still in the movie. That's a good thing. I like that.
Hello, Sting?
Hi, Randy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Well, I called to sort of update you on where we are at the moment.
Please update me.
Basically, we've been in story hell sort of for a month, trying to come up with better versions that included the original story.
Okay.
So the Act 1 is the same.
Act 1's the same. Basically, he's taken back to Homer's village, you know, for the ladies.
By the third week, we had about 6 different basic outlines of what this was about. And our heads were starting to swim, as they get that way when you're stuck up in that room just thinking and yapping about it day after day.
The fact is, the movie's not building to that moment.
You know, we tried to focus again on, you know, what's the kernel of the story, what's the heart of the story, which is basically that a common man could teach an arrogant man how to be a good leader. So we thought, or I thought we had done, you know, a pretty good job working towards that, but it wasn't flying.
And Peter and Tom would look at it and say, well, it's neither fish nor fowl. It's, what are we doing here? And
hey, come on in, Mr. Village.
Sort of at a last-ditch moment, Chris Williams, our story guy, sort of came up with another idea, and they just kind of threw it up as a, well, Tom encouraged them, but just do a blue sky thing. Just try something crazy, just off the top of your heads. So they came up with an entirely different storyline, except that it involves a prince who becomes a llama.
And basically, they really went for the new idea.
It was about Manco.
Yeah, it really featured Manco. So it was the basic essence of the story, but in a whole different track.
Yeah.
Probably, you know, one of my biggest faults was to try to pull all these different elements in, you know, the mysticism, the you know, the funny villain, the, you know, all of this, you know, trying to make all these things into a rich soup or whatever, and maybe I tried to hold on to too many ingredients or something.
If we go that route, are we not able to use any of the songs? Are we not able to use any of the animation?
No sting, maybe. Just, I don't know. I sort of feel like I'm standing here with, like, fragments of, like, confetti falling through my fingers. It's I mean, I don't know. I was up half the night just sort of grieving over this whole thing, you know.
So, how you feeling, Sting?
I would really like to complete the music on this film. This is another project.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I know. I wish it were a little smoother than it is. It usually has bumps. This is a pretty extreme bump.
The day before, I was in Philadelphia, sending my, you know, helping my daughter get into college, you know, preparing, you know, helping her move into college, and basically, you know, my firstborn child, you know, saying goodbye to her, knowing that this is really marks the end of her time, you know, living at home. So that's very emotional. And then the next day I came back and basically pitched this thing, and watched this this other baby, you know, go. So it was like 2 really intense goodbyes, one after the other. And it's an emotional thing you have to get past.
Roger had worked on Lion King and seen this happen to somebody else, and that Roger's a gentleman and a grown-up, and knew what was happening. I know it must have been emotional for him. I know it must have been painful for him. He's behaved great and hasn't been bitter or mean or nasty in the hallways. I think he admires or likes aspects of what we're doing, but isn't interested in this version of this movie.
Well, good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I'm going to the Himalayas.
Yes.
I may return.
Yeah, we'll track you down, whether you like it or not.
Well, I thought I'd served my time with Disney, having written 6 songs that they accepted and liked. Now I hear that they want to change the script, so it makes all the characters and the plot and everything, the songs have been written around, moot. Yeah, I mean, you know, Roger is the creator of this whole project, and he's gone, and that's obviously very sad. It's not over though. The journey isn't over. I thought it was, but it's not.